The opinions and views expressed in the following presentation do not necessarily reflect those of GameCon Radio or its affiliates.
Banshee's Lair, Visionary Talk Radio on GameConRadio.com. We rock your world.
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Welcome to Mo Banshee's Lair, Visionary Talk Radio on GameConRadio.com. We rock your game. Tonight we're having a very special guest back, Paula Kyle, who is the author of On the Edge of Unthinkable. And she is also here to tell us about a ranch that she has started. But today is also the anniversary of Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. If he had lived, he would have been about 84 years old. He was killed in, let me bring it up so I don't tell you the wrong dates. He was killed April 4th, 1968. He was born January 15th, 1929. I can't believe that 40 some odd years has gone by since 45 years since he was assassinated. Martin Luther King was a man of peace. There's a lot of people that were for civil rights that were not peaceful. They thought that violence was the way to get civil rights. But he was not one of them. And it is for men like him that Matthew 5:9 rings. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the sons of God. And he definitely falls into that category. In honor of Mr. King and his birthday, we are going to be playing Louis Armstrong, It's a Wonderful World. But first we'll be playing Duke Ellington, the Moochie. They are both jazz musicians, and the first one we'll be doing is Nectar, that's the name of the band, and Book of Days, and that's for our guest tonight. I want to welcome everybody listening, and I hope everybody hears well, and I hope everybody's new year is kind of going pretty good. We have some crazy but news. Honey Boo Boo guest star is out. For anybody who's been living in a hole, there's a really disgusting show on called Honey Boo Boo. It's a spawn of tiaras, babies and tiaras stuff. Evidently this is a woman whose husband said when he saw her in a yellow glitter wig that she was making him frisky. But this upset her. Evidently, Mama June is putting her foot down and banning Crazy Tony. Whoever he is, he's a frequent visitor to Honey Boo Boo. Here comes Honey Boo Boo. And he evidently pulled a gorilla suit out and was scaring people along the side of the freeway. And Mama June said that, that was just way too crazy. We love him as a friend, but that was a crazy story. And so she has told the producer she does not want him in the show. Honey, I don't even want your show on television. I mean, if that's what the American family is coming down to, we're in big friggin' trouble. But anyway, she's put her foot down and said that he is just too redneck for her redneck show. But if you haven't seen it, it's all over YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube. Another one here. A repairman in Washington State had good news for Velma Kellen. She had him in because her furnace wasn't heating the house. So he went into the crawl space and he found that all the ducts had been diverted from the house and were heating the basement. He found drug paraphernalia, and all that stuff, and booze bottles, empty booze bottles. Evidently, she had a homeless person living in her basement for months. She said she had smelled pot, but she never realized it was coming from the basement. I don't know, if you don't smoke and you smell pot, where do you think it's coming from? I mean, really, let's get real here. But anyway, she's surprised because her dogs never barked. And I'm laughing to myself because basically what's going on is the dogs were stoned all the time. So that was pretty funny. I actually enjoyed that. So anyway, her ducts are fixed, and she's going to fix the place where this guy was climbing in and out of and everything's right with the world in Washington State. Denver is, their Republican Greg Brody is trying to say in Colorado State that he wants 18-year-olds to be able to drink in the presence of their parents, because he went out for a birthday dinner and his daughter to celebrate her 20th birthday, but she wasn't allowed to have a birthday drink. Duh. That's because she's not 21, and you're not supposed to drink out in public if you're not 21 there. But so now, because his daughter couldn't drink on her 20th birthday, he's going to pass a law for, people 18 to 21 to be able to drink in the presence of their parents. And this is going to make a lot of alcoholics happy, because their kids won't be standing there staring at them watching drink. They can drink right along with them. So crazy but news. This world never ceases to amaze me, and lousy parents just keep coming. No matter what way we look at it, they're coming at us. Our guest tonight has been on twice before. She is a lovely lady. You talk about climbing out of the pit of absolute hell and still having the foresight to say, you know what, I'm going to make it better for everybody else. Paula Kyle, welcome to our lair.
Hello, Mo.
Hi,
thank
welcome
you.
back. So
thank you.
Yeah, you're going to get a crappy wig and dance in front of your husbands. You get a TV show out of it. They can call you Honey Paula. How's that sound?
Oh, no. Oh, no. I did just get married New Year's Day.
Congratulations.
Yes,
That's wonderful.
Yes, and speaking, I'm going to be speaking to you about our Paradise in the Sky Youth Motivational Services facility here. Mm-hmm. We had all the youth present and involved in our actual wedding right here on the facility, so we got to bring some youth who had never even been to a wedding, let alone involved, being part of it, to the facility on New Year's. Hello.
I'm here. Welcome back to Mo Banshee's Lair. I am very sorry we have a storm bearing down on us, and everybody who listens to the show knows I live right on the water in New Jersey, and we still have a lot of damage that has not even begun to be addressed. And unfortunately, one of it is a lot of power is being diverted through a lot of different places to supply power, and of course, your cable and all the communication stuff that we take for granted. it's all technology, and storms break towers and destroy lines, and so we're still recovering, and obviously the storm is going to nail us, and we've already lost the power twice tonight, so it keeps coming right back on. But if you lose me again, we'll try to get back up and going again. Again, our guest is ready, Paula Kyle, and she wrote a book called On the Edge of Unthinkable. And again, welcome back to the Lair. You got married New Year's Eve.
New Year's Day, right?
Wonderful, wonderful. No excuse for forgetting your anniversary, right?
That's right. It's my anniversary and my birthday.
Wow.
And New Year's Day.
Wow. So what do you do?
Can't forget me.
Just start getting drunk New Year's Eve and stay that way? I mean...
No.
No.
No, we didn't. We were actually setting up New Year's Eve for the wedding on New Year's Day.
Right. That's what happens. Well,
In the snow.
I wish you all the best. I mean, you definitely deserve it. You're a wonderful lady. Your book has taken you places where I don't think you ever even thought were intended to go, hasn't it?
Actually it has. And, when I was 16 years old, I was told I was going to be doing this, and I remember looking at my foster mom and saying, I don't know what you ate for lunch, but there's no way I'm going to do that. And she said, yes, you will. And you know what? At the age of 52, here I am, and I'm doing everything she said I would do, which is just amazing to me. And it's been life-changing for sure. And I really think there's a lot of youth that have been changed in the midst of it with us, right beside us, walking with us. So I'm thrilled, that it all happened, it was all written, and it's been told over and over as a speaker, trainer, motivational speaker for youth. And I'm actually bringing the youth to me here at the facility, which is just a dream.
For anybody who hasn't read or heard of On the Edge of Unthinkable, it is a book that you can get on Paula's site, which is On the Edge of Unthinkable. You just Google it. You'll find her site, Paula Kyle. It is a book about her life. She and her sisters were removed from her stepfather's care, put in the foster system, and there were a lot of hits, bumps, misses. A lot of things happened. And finally, she found foster parents who helped her become very stable. And you really need to order this book and read it. It's not a book that you're going to stand there and cry over. She wasn't whipped with electrical cords. She it's not one of those deals. But it's a wonderful book. But it's been a long road for you, and now you've got Paradise Ranch, right?
Right, Paradise in the Sky, Youth Motivational Services, Inc.
And how did that come about?
Well, when I met my now husband, he lived literally 2 miles from my back door, and he already had a couple horses that he was doing equine therapy for autistic kids. One of his sons is autistic. And so when we met, I had already been traveling as a youth motivational speaker, and I said, let's join my youth with your youth. And the first time I came to his home, this 57-acre facility sits at the top of a hill and overlooks our whole town. And when the first time I got out of my car, as a joke, I go, wow, this is like paradise in the sky. And we never quit talking about this paradise in the sky. And so when we decided to merge our businesses, what I do with my youth and he does with his youth, we decided, we just kept it Paradise in the Sky, and then we added Youth Motivational Services, Inc., and became we are nonprofit and 501c3, so that, our sole purpose is to help families in crisis And then youth, whether they're medically fragile, whether they're autistic or handicapped, whether they're foster treatment, youth, the at-risk youth from our juvenile detention centers or the probation departments. We have such a variety of adversities of youth and families that come here. It's been, I don't even know the right word, awe-striking. I'm not even sure what to say. I mean, it leaves us speechless every time a group or even one child comes here. It leaves us totally speechless to see what happens.
I was watching the video on your site, and it's also on YouTube. And just so you are aware, we played a song called Book of Days. It's kind of like what your story was. You have a book, and you're entering all the things in it that happened. I played that first when we came back until we got everything set up for you. The ranch is in Mount Vernon, Ohio, right?
Correct.
How do people get a hold of you? Family Services get a hold of you? Do foster? Who do you cater to mostly right now? Who comes to you mostly?
Right now, what happens is usually as I travel to all the different states as a speaker and a foster care trainer and a keynote speaker, a youth motivational speaker. I mean, it varies everywhere I go. People follow me back to Mount Vernon, rent my cabin, which is 2 miles away, and then they come for weekend retreats or they might. I just had a family of sisters. One came from Ontario, Canada. One came from Harrisburg, PA. One came from Holmes County, Ohio. They came back together and they brought all of their kids, which were all adopted children. And they stayed at the cabin for 11 days. And they came to Paradise 2 or 3 times while they were here. And each time a family or a group comes, I always do pictures. They call me Paparazzi Paula here. Mm-hmm. And I take and make music slideshows for their lifetime memories to take back with them of all the events that they do while they're here. But most of my people, to answer your question, follow me from my training so far, my speaking events, and they, word of mouth gets out, and they call their families, and they all come back, and they meet here, and then they come over and they spend time with Rich and I here at Paradise. And do all the events that we have. And keep in mind, most of the events we do are using all of our rescued animals. We have 6 rescued horses. We have 2 percherons, 2 walkers. She's a quarter horse, and then we have a brand new rescue who is a retired racehorse thoroughbred. We have 15 rescued cats, and we have 4 rescued canines. We just recently rescued about 4 months ago, we rescued 3 sisters that were apricot standard poodles that the owners were drop feeding 11 at one time, and they couldn't do it. So we drove a great distance and took 3 of the sisters off their hands. And of course, if you read my story, 3 sisters was perfect for me. Mm-hmm. And so they're now 5 months old and becoming small ponies, but the kids love them. They are so gentle. And, we have another little rescue that's she's a platinum schnauzer. If you've ever seen a platinum schnauzer, they're beautiful. Mm-hmm. But she was also a not wanted dog, and I took her in. And so we have a great big family of animals here. And, there's something to be said about rescued animals and children of adversity or families in crisis. There's just something magical that happens with these animals and these families and these children. And we see it time and time again. They start out, their body posturing's like, come on, just don't even talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. Or it's just they start out really rough, and by the time, within a few hours, their facial, their expressions are soft. Their body language is soft. And
animals do that. Animals
Oh, they do.
draw. I don't know what it is, but even in nursing homes where you have people that they don't have a lot of visitors or anything, they're starting to introduce animals there and their comfort therapy, and you see the changes because they just draw out that that compassion in the person. And children, what is that old poem? You have to be taught to hate and all that. It has to be drummed in your dear little ear. You have to be taught to fear, and all that. The animals, the horses, that's a big therapy animal. How does that work with the horses?
Very, very, very few of the youth that come here ever ride. If a family comes with mom and dad want to ride with the kids, that's one thing. But most of our kids are here from the court systems, the group homes, the foster care system, and the foster care system says these kids will not ride a horse. However, we don't want to ride anyway. We have a great big round pen, and we have two horses, our thoroughbred and our walker Casey, our star horse. It's just, think of Mr. Ed and you'll think Casey. I mean, if this horse could talk and he could sit on your lap, he would. And he'd be a pretty sassy horse because he's gentle and he's fun. But the kids and the adults, even the parents, I encourage everybody that comes, whether it's a staff person, a parent, they all get involved with the kids and they do the same things that the youth do. But basically with our horses, they go into a round pen, which is pretty big. They pick up a lead rope and they swing it above their head while they're standing in the middle of the pen. When we give them the command to drop the rope, they drop it on the ground. These horses stop, get in their tracks, and they go stand behind the person, and they wait for that person to get brave enough to turn around and interact with them. And it's just an amazing thing because they're scared to death, but when they realize that horse isn't moving until they turn around and give them the signal that it's okay, then you can literally watch them pick their hand up and start to touch this horse. I've had little kids, 3-year-olds, that took their hands and felt as much of the horse's body at one time just to see if it was real. That horse is really standing still and he's doing it for me. And when they come back they get back to his nose and they're looking at him and he's sniffing them and figuring them out, you can literally see them melt into this soft, caring. Some of these kids literally attach themselves to this horse. It's until you're actually here and you see all the different varieties of how people attach themselves to this horse. And most of the adults say, we've got to bring him back. We've got to get Casey'd again. They can't wait. Our local college staff, the professors and the deans, they will call and say, we want to have a retreat. We just want to come out and see Casey again. And Casey is a very amazing horse. And our new team player, his name is our thoroughbred. He does the same thing as Casey. We haven't had him very long, so we're not using him as much as Casey, but he's been trained just like Casey. To our surprise, to our amazement, we are so thrilled. I mean, it was like, come and get this horse today or we're putting him down tomorrow. And that's how we get these horses. And, being that he was a racetrack horse, they had him trained, lunge trained. They call it lunging. And he's just so gentle. He'll follow you like a puppy if you walk out in the field with him. So these horses and these people that come and meet these animals, to watch the transformation from I'm scared to death. That is a huge animal. What do you think? I'm going to go in the middle of this pen and lock myself in here with this animal. And then by the time they realize how gentle they are and how kind they are and how loving they are, they don't want to come out. And so a lot of our group homes will bring 18 to 20 kids out at a time. And, it is like, can we go back in with Casey? They can't get enough of these big horses and the gentleness that they show them. Our apricot poodles, the kittens, usually we let them all out together. The cats, the dogs, the horses are all together. That they all get along, and usually I can take my camera and at any given time they're holding dogs, holding cats, in with the horses, and it's just it's an amazing thing to watch. I know their staff, what I get remarks, where's our kids? These aren't our kids. We didn't bring these kids. What did you do with them? And our parents just stand on the outside of the round pen and in amazement, especially with some of these kids they bring that have, that are adopted and have been post-traumatized from, early tasks of just total horror. They stand on the outside of the ring and go, wow, we never, ever thought we would see this. And I have one little girl, she's got over 68 diagnoses, she's 8 years old, and up until she came here, her only wish was to sit on a black horse. Mom said she won't touch cats, she won't touch dogs, she doesn't even talk. Guess what? Not only is she Gabby, but she now holds and hugs our cats and our dogs. And at Christmas time, just because she wanted to take my little mini schnauzer home with her and not ever bring her back, I said, Mom, please let me get her a puppy for Christmas. And Mom agreed. And for Christmas morning, I found myself doing a family photo shoot and all of a sudden finding this box on the porch with a puppy in it. and it was just the most amazing.
You're open to families that take in foster children, adopted children. You're open for staff retreats, family bonding, conferences, seminars. Do you have counselors on site?
Occasionally, a counselor will call me and say, I need to get this family there now. There is a major crisis in the family, and if I don't do something now, this whole family is going to fall apart. And sometimes the counselor will stay here and they will usually say, we need to be on grounds the whole time they're there. So they'll bring the family, and the counselor you will usually put the counselor up here at Paradise while the family stays 2 miles away at the cabin. The therapist will then pull one child out at a time, or maybe mom out at a time. And this last group that came, the counselor excused us at the nighttime bonfire and said, can you two go in the house? I'd like to have a family meeting with these guys. I've never had one around a bonfire with marshmallows. Mm-hmm. And so they do a lot of family counseling and bonding, and that particular family, that was an amazing, this could have been an explosive family situation. And actually, you can actually see the review on my website of how this family felt while they were here under the review section. And she is not shy to say, this was one of the most critical times for that family, and how she feels like she's strong enough to walk again, and survive, as a single mom now with 5 adopted children. And so I have seen some miraculous things here, and it's, besides the grace of God, it's the beauty of this property and these animals that bring the magical, intense therapy that we don't even have to try to do. It just happens. It just, these animals just make it happen.
Yeah. Also, it looks, I've looked at pictures and everything. It's a beautiful location, but sometimes one of the best things to do, and I always tell this with my team, is get out of ground zero. You can't, if you're going to try to, settle things, you're going to try to talk things over. You can't be in the middle of the war zone. You have to you have to be in a safe place, a place where you think, okay, we're safe. They're not going to let us kill each other. And we're not, and sometimes that's just enough to bring everybody back down a few notches so the real talking can start, right?
Exactly. That's absolutely. And these therapists that come here with these families, they are in awe themselves, and they even say to me, what we've accomplished in 2 days, they'll come on a Friday night and leave Sunday evening. What we've accomplished in 2 days would have taken me 8 to 12 weeks to accomplish with this family. Mm-hmm. So being as concentrated in nature with the animals, away from, as you say, the war zone, making them have no choice but to confront, speak your truth, speak your mind, which they do. Mm-hmm. And it happens naturally. It doesn't happen. It's like that steam is not there. It's gone, and it's not hovering over their heads, and it's amazing to watch. I mean, as awesome as it is to watch each one of these guys in the round pen with the horse, to have a family out here that is ready to just explode and just fall apart, we actually visually watch them put it all back together by helping each other with the different events we do. And the horses aren't the only thing. We have a lot of things that we do. You know, they fish, they hike through the woods. We have a 6-seater Polaris with seatbelts, by the way, that we go through the woods, and we encourage the family to find different vines, we have a lot of grapevines, so they find different shapes to gather around and take family pictures. We encourage that camaraderie of family. Even when we have a group of kids from the group homes, we do the same thing with them to have them be creative and build more camaraderie, because they don't do that when they're in those centers. You know, they stay in their rooms and they don't like it, and they don't want to be there, so they don't want to even talk to anybody. Well, they come out here, and I don't know how many times I've heard all the families, the group home kids, like, we never talk like this. We never do these kind of things together. This has been awesome. And I always, before they leave, tell me one thing you had the most fun. Tell me one thing that you've learned while you've been here. And the things out of their mouth are just incredible. But a lot of the families and a lot of the kids that come from the centers where they live together, but yet they don't want to be together, the things that they say, the thing that I hear the most is, we actually talked here. We did things together. We looked at each other. We ate together, and we got along. So, you know, it does remove that nastiness that they're trying to get away with. You know, you're right.
And there's no place for them to retreat, like the computer, you know, or they're gonna.
That's right.
They're not gonna walk out the door and walk to their friends and just, you know, okay, so I'm not happy here. I'm just going to go to my friends and I'll sit on my computer or my cell phone all day. And they actually, there's no place for them really to go. So they're going to have to pay attention to what the problem is.
It isn't even an issue. It isn't even a, hey, come over here, put your phone down. I never, ever have had to do that. And about a year and a half we've been doing this with these youth. I've never had to tell one to put their phone down. Mm-hmm. They don't want their phone. They are so amazed and bewildered with, like, wow, you know, just the place itself, when you get out of the car, it's like that first thing out of my mouth, this is paradise in the sky. I mean, There is nothing you can, you know, I've never had to tell one to put their phone down. Now, a lot of the families, they set their own rules, and a lot of the families will say, the kids, here's a basket, put your phones in it. I don't have to do that. But like the group home kids, the kids that, you know, come from we do community service with our community. Most of the businesses won't let the kids at their businesses anymore. So Rich and I do that for the community here. And he takes the boys, I take the girls. He gives them jobs, I give them jobs. When we're done, then we go do a photo shoot, and I make them a slideshow. What they don't know is the camera that I have. I can stand back afar and take pictures of them doing the jobs that they've been assigned to do, and I also include those in their slideshows. And you can't even imagine the amazement. It's like, I did that? I was smiling. It's like, yeah, you did that, and you worked together with the other kids, and you guys worked as a team, and yeah, you did that. And just letting them see themselves builds their self-esteem, their self-confidence, and teaches them a lot about teamwork. So, you know, like I said, we have a variety. We never know. Maybe every day is a new adventure here. But it's, to me, you know, I told myself at the age of 16, someday I will grow up and I will help kids walk through some of these things, and I will teach them that it's a lot easier than I remember it being. And, you know, that dream, that wish, that prayer, is coming threefold to me, and I don't regret one day, and neither does my husband, Rich. He is so awesome with these kids, you know. He is, they love him. They love him. And
he looks like a gentle giant.
He is. He is. Yeah, 'cause I'm tall, so you see him on the website.
He's taller than you, though.
He's 6'5". He's tall. But he has more patience and more wisdom, and these kids love him. I mean, Mr. Rich, can we go in the pen with Casey again? Take us for another ride in the four-wheeler. And, I mean, they hang on every word he says. The boys, you know, he's a really good teacher, and a lot of these community service kids, he teaches, you know, well, what are you interested in? And he converts them and diverts them into more of thinking of, you know, go for your passion, you know, look for, you know, don't just go out and think you're going to get a job. Look for your passion, you know, do what you really, you know, start out with your passion and make it your career. You know, don't just go think, oh, I'm just going to go get a job. You know, if you start out with a passion and you're going to do it, you're going to like it, and every day you wake up, you're going to be happy you're going. And so he does a lot of mentoring to especially the boys, really takes and gently shakes that rebel out of them and makes them like, oh, wow, this could be easy. And it's a pleasure working beside him with these kids. And, you know, I was divorced for a very, very long time, and my only wish was, or dream was, is to find this prince in my life that had the same ideals I do when it came to mentoring and motivating these youth who don't seem to have any drive. You know, help them.
Well, unfortunately, that's an illness that I'm seeing a lot of.
It is. It's really, really, really is. And, you know, here's what happens here at Paradise. To make Paradise real short and sweet, when these cars hit the top of this driveway and we tell the kids, as soon as they get out of the car, here's the deal. When that car came through the very beginning of that entrance up there, you drop all your labels. There's no labels. You're not a foster kid. You're not a handicapped. You're not a probation kid. You are just a child, and you're going to have fun. You're going to be a kid here. And, you know, I have had some of the hardest kids we've ever had here. Some kids that were just, you didn't think you were ever going to get inside of those kids and make them smile and have fun. I have had them come up to me in front of the groups of kids, and you just imagine this hard kid walk up to you and say, lady, that really touched me. What you just said, that really touched me. It is just humbling, and I don't even know anything more to say. It's like, lady, that really touched me, and it's like, whoa, you know. But they're different kids here, and that's some of the kids, the system kids that, you know, of course their labels aren't with them now. I'm just talking now because we're on the radio, but you know, we don't look at them as anything but a child when they come here. And our little kids that are fragile and ill, very medically fragile, after they've been here the first time, you know, it's when they come in, it's like, I don't know how you feel today, I don't know what you're up to, but what do you want to do today? What is it? You know what we do now. You know all the things that we do. What do you want to do now? Our little 8-year-old. What do you want to do today? You know what we do. And she'll say, I want to hold that little dog and I want to ride that thing. So we buckle her in the four-wheeler, give her that little dog in her lap, and she just wants to ride in the woods. You know, she's got over 68 diagnoses over her head, and they don't know why she's alive, but she wants to hold that dog and ride in the woods. That's what she does. That's what her wish is for that day. And, you know, sometimes I tell the parents, don't tell me how sick they really are.
Right. I don't want to know.
Please, don't tell me. Let me just let them be kids. And because sometimes I know too much, and I'm like, oh no, we don't want to do that today. But you know, I try so hard not to be that way because all they want to be is treated like a regular kid.
Yeah, I have a little story that's something similar to that. Teddy used to, years and years ago, have a cadet group with boys. And so he would take them out into the woods, and they would basically act like soldiers. He would teach them how to, deal with being out in the woods at night, how to find shelter, how to make shelter, how to take care of yourself and all. And well, he had these kids out running and everything through Cheesequake Park in New Jersey and all. And then he found out one of the boys had a congenital heart defect that he could drop dead at any minute. And he was like, I just had this kid out running with a full pack on his back. And his father came to him and he said, don't worry about it. He says, we know what's going to happen, but he still has to have a life. He still has to have things that he can remember. What good is it going to be if he lives to be 80, but he has nothing to look back on that was fun?
That's right.
So that kind of gave him a different view of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and what I do too, on the second note of that, I find some of these things out too, and I'm like, oh, I can't do that again, But the moms say, no, let them do we're bringing them to you. Do not treat them sick. There's no medical equipment here. If they want to do it, let them do it. It's like, okay. But here I am the whole time making video, snapping pictures from back of far enough they don't even know I'm snapping. And moms and dads don't have a clue how I'm getting these shots, how I'm getting these things. And then I send each one of them home with, each time they're here, they get a new video, a new slideshow to take home, pop in their VCR and watch on TV. And one mom says she watches one 4 times, she puts another one in, she watches it 4 times, she puts another one. The days where she's going to be in a chair on breathing treatments all day, she just watches herself with these animals on her TV, and it is so diffusing when they're in a crisis, a medical crisis, and the kids, even the kids on probation, even the kids at the treatment centers, I make one for their group, and the whole group, they get popcorn, and they sit there and they watch and laugh at each other. Oh, look what you did! Oh, and it's just, to me, it's my humbling pleasure not only to hand it to them, but to get and sit and watch their reactions of themselves on these slideshows. Yeah. So we have a lot of fun here. We do a lot of stuff, and I'm getting really good at making these slideshows. I can make them up in about 10 minutes. Isn't
it amazing how good you get at stuff when you find out you're the one that's going to have to do it? Owning a site and doing stuff that I do. Suddenly I learned how to work Photoshop and this and that and the next thing, and how to make little banners. And I'm like, who would have thought? Who would have thought?
I know. How many, especially for me.
I don't know. I think I'm probably as technically challenged as it's going to get. We got about 10 minutes to break, but how many, you keep referring to children that are in danger, system kids, that type of thing. How far are you away from the big city, so to speak? That,
about 40 minutes.
40 minutes?
Yeah, we're about, I'd say 50 minutes from our first children's. No, we're actually 30 minutes from our first children's hospital, and another 20 miles is the big children's hospital. And I am becoming really, have touched base with the Easter Seals and Just a Kid and all the different agencies. I'm starting to network with all the different agencies that are trying it's so hard for them to find something they can do with these kids. And some of our kids are one-on-one. I mean, they can't be around other kids because of germs and stuff like that. So this is a perfect environment for people who need a break, who need a retreat with their fragile family members, and they just need to go somewhere, stay in a little place, and bring them to a place that they are the only ones getting the attention.
Right. And it's sad because, even when you've got a child in the hospital, it's such a clinical thing. And anybody who's had to spend a lot of time in the hospital, pretty soon you're looked at more as a case, not a person. And that's just the way it is. There's no attachments. These are nurses. These are doctors. They're not going to form attachments. My niece's baby was born not able to process any sugar. Instead of calling her by her name, they would refer to her as baby 52, the 52nd baby who was born like this and survived birth. The thing is that, the hospitals, they become cases, not people anymore. They're not children. Even though they have the pretty colors and they have the playroom and everything, there's still a case there. Where when they get out to your place, suddenly they're a child again.
Mm-hmm. Right. I'm absolutely, the stories that I hear and the expressions on the faces, their mouths drop and they're just so silent for a minute. They look around. And then when I'm told by moms, the schools don't even know she can talk out of her mouth. She sign languages to her nurse and her nurse translates everything. No, they don't even know she can talk. It's like, what? She can talk my ear off. So, something really, truly does happen. And I know nature is probably 80% of it. And just giving them choices and giving them the right to have a moment to be just the child without the machines, the children without the, the psychologists and the caseworkers and, this has been a lifetime dream that I never thought I'd ever get to walk through and see. And it is a humbling pleasure each time I meet one child, one family, or one it's just amazing. Then, I'm getting the college professors and the social worker professors. I'm sure they're out here studying me, but I don't even know it. But it dawned on me after about the last group. I was like, you know what? I think they're studying me. But they're going back to do a report now.
Well, this is what happens when you get through all of the rigmarole and you're raised as a foster child and you have all the bumps and the bangs and the dents, and then you grow up and you become a responsible adult. I mean, you have to be let's face it, you've got kids that are raised in really good families, solid families, and they end up being just, their lives are total disasters. But then you see somebody like you who could have been a total disaster and anyone would have understood it, but you didn't become one. And that's gotta kind of boggle some minds. Why?
It does.
Why did she make it when so many countless others don't?
Oh, I even asked myself that, believe me. I still say I should have been the one. I mean, I'm meeting so many kids. Now, Mo, one of the other big things that I do when I'm not here is I travel amongst our detention centers and our youth prisons all around Indiana, New York, Pennsylvania, Illinois, you name it. I've been in these centers. And again, before I leave, I say to each one of these kids, now before I walk out of this room, tell me one thing you've learned today. And what I hear is just amazing. After I get done with my little motivational, their comeback is this. I'm going to go home and I'm going to appreciate my mom and dad. I'm going to try to put one foot in front of the other and I'm going to try to make it, because if you could go through that, I didn't have it so bad at home after all. I'm going to go try to make it. And they write me letters, and then when they get out, I just had one of my guys over in Indiana. I remember him so distinctly, and he contacted me on my website, and we started chatting back and forth, and he said, I'm out. So we started talking. I said, so what are you going to do with your life now? And he hem-hawed and just kind of didn't tell me, and all of a sudden, I get this, I'm going to be a policeman.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, this is so awesome. So, besides being out here and bringing the kids to me, I go to them a lot, and I go to these kids and I say, you're going to get out of here. You're going to be successful in society. You have to. And, there's no other, you have to. And when you get out of here, you can contact me on my website. If your family will bring you to Paradise in the Sky, please come. And it's been, somebody's got to realize that we can go and get involved with these kids, and we can tell them that no matter how bad it was when they were just little, they can lose the victim and they can be productive in society. I mean, we have to do this. If we don't work on these kids right now, they're going to be taking care of us pretty soon. So we got to work on them now. I mean, my 90-year-old foster dad, Larry, said to me, do you realize that all these kids out there that are so lost now are going to be taking care of you pretty soon? And I went, whoa, what a profound thought that is.
Yes,
and
it is.
It's
a scary
they're going to be
because there's a lot of them that have no ability to for compassion.
No,
and
they're not being taught.
No, they're not. And there are so many parents dropping the ball. And I joke. It's a joke, but I still say it. Wasn't the hippies? Wasn't that what they were supposed to be fixing? Letting them run around in the woods and pee without having diapers on and everything, going back all natural into the woods, living like, cavemen, was supposed to end all of this. But what
building forts out of nothing. Yeah, I know. I mean, what happened to that?
What happened? Because you know what? Most of them turned into yuppies who would cut your throat for a nickel. And their kids have raised themselves. You got two parents working now in a family just to pay a mortgage. And nobody wants a little house that's got 3 bedrooms. They all need big, huge houses with 5 bedrooms and 3, 4 bathrooms. They all need, people want and they work, but they forget they're having these kids. And these kids need too. Right.
Well, and that's amazing that you say that, because my cabin, my little 3-bedroom cabin, it has 1 bathroom. When I tell people about it, they go, what?
Right?
It's like one little rustic cabin. It has 1 bathroom, it's got 3 bedrooms, and a huge loft living room. It's really, really neat. And, they're like, only 1 bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
In the woods. Aren't you scared of bears?
Right. When you stand there, I tell people I raised my family in this apartment. I have a girl and 2 boys. We have a 2-bedroom apartment. Their bedroom was the big one. I raised them. We had 1 bathroom. We had a camper. I think they had a good life. Of course, I'm sure they would have liked to have a big, huge house with a pool and all the amenities and everything, but we didn't have that. But you know what? I don't have any murderers in my family either. All my kids seem to understand there's a threshold between going into a friggin' school and killing a bunch of kids because your life sucks.
Yeah, it's amazing. What we live in today is frightening.
It is. It's very, and I can't say enough that a lot of parents, I think, I'm going to say something now, even though we got only 2 minutes to break. I do not, no child should be beat to the point where, beating doesn't do anything to begin with, but I don't like violence. I don't like that kind of thing, but a swat in the arse never. A child has to know there is something that is not allowed. And with a lot of the laws they're passing now, you're not allowed to discipline your child at all. The minute you say, well, you're not gonna, I'll call DIFUS, I'll go in and tell the teachers, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and all you did was say, I'm not gonna let you use your phone no more. Oh yeah, well, it's parents, I don't know, they're really being held to a really tight law, which is good, because I don't like abuse. But on the other hand, children have got to understand there are certain limits, and that there's certain things that are just not acceptable. And they're not learning that now.
No. But you know what? If these parents would get these kids out of the city, do a regular retreat with these kids in a place that they can actually be a family. They can bond. They can learn, nature and learn it together.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, we're going to go break, and we're going to talk about how big the place is, how many people you can take there. But you're right, parents have got to stop talking on the TV, playing Facebook farm games, and start taking their children out and doing things with them and showing them, see, if you work hard, maybe we could do this. And you know what? Maybe we can camp. Maybe we can go to a park on Saturday. It means getting off their rear ends and leaving all their cell phones, because parents don't want to do that too. We're going to be playing Duke Ellington's The Moochie, in honor of Martin Luther King's birthday, which is today. He was 39 years old when he was killed. He was a peaceful demonstrator. He believed that we could achieve peace by being peaceful, and civil rights could be achieved by peaceful demonstration. And as a result of, unfortunately, the violent way he died, I think it accelerated civil rights in this country. So in honor, we're playing music by great African American jazz artists like Duke Ellington and Louis Armstrong. So the next song will be The Moochie, which I happen to love because it's kind of creepy, but it's a really cool song. So we'll be right back with Paula Kyle, who wrote On the Edge of Unthinkable and runs Paradise Ranch. And you can always find her by Googling On the Edge of Unthinkable. We'll be right back.
Just a reminder, guys, all our talk show hosts here at GameCon Radio volunteer their time, but you can always show your appreciation. Click on the tip jar and give them a little love. I'm sure maybe your predictions will come out a little bit better. And that's how we roll here at GameCon Radio. We rock your game and your paranormal.
This is Michelle Tomlinson, the Scream Queen, and I listen to GameCon Radio. Why? Because it rocks.
Welcome back to Mo Banshee's Lair, Visionary Talk Radio on GameConRadio.com. I hope you like Duke Ellington's The Moochie. It's one of those songs that's, it starts kind of like you can hear the wind, da-da-da-da, but it's got a sexy beat to it. There's no doubt about it. He was one of the kings of jazz. That's a great song. Our guest tonight is Paula Kyle, who runs a retreat and conference center, and it's located in Mount Vernon, Ohio. And if you go on the internet and Google On the Edge of Unthinkable, you will find her site, and you can contact her through that site. How many cabins are there?
The cabin, there's only one cabin, and the cabin was my home as I finished the book for the last 10 years. So it's 2 miles from the facility. So it is a 3-bedroom. It's fit up to 12. Well, actually, it's fit up to 17 people at one time. A lot of the kids camp out on the second level on the big loft living room, and the bedroom's still up. But you know what? They're over here more than they're there. They sleep there, and they're here most of the time. They eat over here. We have 2 big stainless grills, and just have a really good time.
Are you planning on more cabins, or are you planning on getting bigger?
Actually, we're hoping some grants go through for our 501c3. And what we're going to end up doing is putting an indoor arena up to do a lot of our equine events inside, and we're going to put bunkers up in the top so that we can have groups actually bunk up there. We're also going to open a camp here on the 57-acre facility. The name of the camp is going to be Camp Content, which the word content is usually missing out of 90% of our youth vocabularies, especially those of adversity.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have, the ability, we're thinking about putting pads down for campers that want to come in, and there's just a whole bunch of stuff we want to broaden, but right now we're waiting on some grants.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't had an issue with too many people at one time at this point. We've been real fortunate for that right now. And I'm sure it's going to change. Things are gearing up, and we're networking with a lot of different, groups of people that are looking to come in. And the spring, I'm sure, is going to be our biggest challenge because I've done so much networking and marketing that I think it's already started. The calls are already starting to come in for the spring. So we'll see, I think that we are, we're looking at some really busy times coming up, so.
Yeah, you say, I'm looking at the pamphlet, and you've got a hot tub there, which, wow, that looks great. But you're talking a lot of work here because do they have to clean the place, or do you go in and clean? Because it says fresh linens await you, 3 beautiful furnished bedrooms ready to provide for restful slumber. So how does that all work? Because, is it worth the kind of workload you're taking on?
Well, the flyer is getting ready to be replaced on the website. The hot tub had to come out. When you tell people that children under 8 or children under 12 are not allowed in the hot tub, and you drive up the driveway and there's 15 kids in the hot tub of all ages, it became a liability, and I had to actually remove that from the cabin. I had to, every time, groups left with kids, I had to completely empty, refill, and it was not fun. But you know what? That's probably the only one thing that I've had nightmares over, wondering, is a kid going to drown? Am I going to find out that mom and dad slept through kids getting in the hot tub and one drowned it or something? I had to actually remove that from the whole picture.
Right.
But yes, I have, a couple people that go over and completely refurnish and, wash sheets, re-clean, make sure everything's back up and running before the next group comes in. So, and if they don't, I do. And, when you're starting out with a business like this, you do what you got to do to get it done.
Right. And as much as it's a tax thing and all, it is a business. So let me ask you, when somebody contacts you and says, look, we'd like to bring in a group of 8 young people from our, youth facility, who pays for that,
And different, most families that come in, they pay their own. They pay a private thing. Some of them get some type of grants from their, like if it's a foster family, say, they get some of their funds from the Children's Services, special grants that they might have. Our family that just stayed 11 days, they just, wrote a check. It was crazy, but money, the funds come from different places. And, a lot of our groups, like our homeless shelters, we had one from Nappersville, Illinois, they were raising their own fund money to make the trip for this group. So it's not, it's not an outrageous amount, and it's customized per group.
Right.
It's not the same. No group's the same, so I can't say, okay, it's going to be this every time. I say an average, but I can't always count on that because, you know, if you're putting 17 people in that cabin, it's not going to be the same as if you're putting 2. And if we're entertaining them over here, you know, are they going to do by 4-hour blocks over here with the events? Or are they going to do the whole day? You know, there's still things over here that like gas for the ranger and, you know, the cooking gas and stuff like that. We have to take so much of that into consideration or we're not going to be able to operate.
Right. Yeah, because that, I mean, where is the furthest people have come from to do this?
Ontario, Canada.
Wow. And what was, I don't want to ask you to, you know, give us any specifics, but what was their circumstance that they came all the way out?
Families are so spread out. It was a central place for all the families to come together. You know, they flew into Port Columbus and they rented cars and they all met at the cabin. So, and had their Christmas there and, you know, put up a Christmas tree and it was beautiful. I mean, I was amazed.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
I mean, and that's, I think, is going to happen more and more. I mean, it's like little mini Gatlinburg at the cabin, and then you come over to Paradise, and it's like, wow. So, it's becoming a lot for, you know, a lot more than we had anticipated in good way, in a very positive, good way, you know. But if through it comes a handful of youth who otherwise would not have been successful in society and they go out and make something of themselves, it's all worth it.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it and let's say it's probably something like a 1,500-mile schlep for me. I'd have to cross all of New Jersey's midsection because I'm right on the water, then all of Pennsylvania, and then you're halfway. You're pretty almost dead center in Ohio, right?
Yeah, we're right in the center.
Yeah. I hear them chatting away, but hello, Cosmic. Your horses, equine therapy. Your husband started that, right?
Correct.
How long does it take to get a horse ready for that kind of interaction? Because some of these kids, they're really hyper. You know what I'm saying here? And some of them with the emotional problems, you know, animals can sense that kind of thing, you know. So do you have to? All animals would have to be prepared for it, kind of. But do you ever like hold your breath and go, "Oh my God," you know?
You know, in the beginning we did. We kind of feared, you know, what is the worst thing that can happen here? And we have had wheelchairs, the mechanical wheelchairs in the middle of the pen, and our star horse Casey, amazingly, literally, you know, took a minute to kind of get his bearings, but literally, like we had a 50-year-old polio victim. And she's been in a chair since 1955. And she was determined she was going in that round pen in her chair. She controlled it by her face, with a big ball with her face. She got in that round pen. Rich did the lunging with the rope because obviously she couldn't. And he dropped the rope and walked away, and that horse literally walked up, smelled around the chair for a minute, got close to the chair, and I have a picture of what's on the flyer. If you open the flyer, look at the top left side, you can see how he just literally wrapped himself around that chair and nuzzled up against her face. And I can remember hearing, behind my camera, I can remember hearing her words, "Oh, big boy, I bet you could keep me warm at night." And I just fell apart, you know. I was like, oh, and she's looking in this horse's eyes, he's looking at hers. The only thing she can move was her fingers on her tray, and he put his nuzzle down on her fingers so she could reach up and touch it. And we had a lot of youth here because we had her be the motivator that day for the youth. She was our speaker and told about how at 30 she went to school to be a social worker. She was a retired social worker. And when those kids got to witness her being around a horse for the first time, it was the most amazing thing you've ever seen. And then, of course, we built a trailer for her chair and ramps, put her chair up on all she wanted to do was ride through the forest and smell the pines. And these kids walked behind that trailer all the way down the circle singing Amazing Grace, and their hands had to be near that on the trailer. Two of the boys sat in the trailer. These were kids that just thought their lives were horrible. And when they got done with this experience, they were like, we feel so lucky. We feel so lucky. And I think if more people out there understood that they need to get their kids in these motivational events, somewhere, anywhere, where they can see that their life really isn't bad, they might see some different outcomes for these youth, because we do. You know, I get personal letters back, handwritten letters from my kids at the centers, from my kids that come here. And, you know, they need to be exposed to different motivational events. And, you know, Google motivational events for your area. Get these kids somewhere where they can be motivated to realize that maybe their life just isn't as bad as they think it is.
You know, I really, I'll probably open a can of worms here, but I really do think that one of the big problems is kids are learning about life from television. So their best examples is some fat jerk who drives a truck around and tries to figure out ways to get his wife to buy him new TVs and food, that King of Queens. Or they watch Everybody Loves Raymond, or they watch all these sitcoms and they think, well, that's real life. That's how life is supposed to be. When we were young, of course, times have changed now. People have lost faith in churches. Actually, they've lost faith in God because of churches. God is still there. It's just churches have ruined it for him. They've been bad press agents for him. But when we were young, your church would have a retreat, you know, and it wasn't all Bible thumping. We went horseback riding. We had campfires. We had the whole 9 yards. We'd go walking through the woods and stuff. Kids aren't getting any of this, and they definitely are not being shown how to conduct themselves out with public, you know. We were, and we laugh about it a lot, my friends and I. Back in the day, Montgomery Ward. Remember the Montgomery Ward stores?
I do.
Wendy Ward had started getting alarmed in the 60s and 50s about what was going on with girls. So she had Wendy Ward's Charm School, or School of Charm. And what she would do is teach you how to eat at a table, how to apply makeup without looking like a 10-cent whore, how to walk, how to meet people, introduce people. Children aren't being taught any of the social graces anymore. It's just good luck. Good luck at it, you know. Boys don't take their hats off. Men don't take their hats off. They come in someone's house and they leave their hats on. And it's usually the ones going bald, and they say, well, no, I don't take my hat off for anybody. Yeah, well, you're an idiot. You know, that accounts for you. Your mother didn't teach you anything, you know? I really do think children are not being taught well.
Oh, no, they're not. You know, I do. I went into a school one time, a big school, and I had 200 kids at the school, and they were bringing blocks of 50 of them at a time for me. And, you know, just the etiquette, let alone the etiquette, but the reasons behind the etiquette. For instance, do you know why brides wear white dresses at their weddings? Guess what? Not one of these 200 kids had ever even heard the tradition of the white dress with the brides.
Right.
And I thought, wow, no wonder everybody's getting pregnant. You know?
Yeah, well, you see, that's another thing. Their idea of a relationship is a girl will get pregnant, and that means the boy's in love with her, and he's going to marry her and stay with her forever. No, that means you just got pregnant, and now he's on the hook for money forever. There's a total breakdown on, you know, they introduce sex education into the schools, but more and more girls are getting pregnant because I don't want to go to work. I can't do anything. I don't know how to do anything. I don't understand. And again, this is where parents have dropped the ball on the kids, because these kids don't think any further than, well, I'm getting out of school, or I don't want to go to school, so I'll get pregnant. And when you sit there and you say, do you honestly not know how much trouble you're in with a baby now? You have no job. He has no job. You're 16 years old. How are you going to feed this kid? How are you going to put diapers on this kid? Their mentality, and unfortunately a lot of adults, I got a new BlackBerry on today, phone, but I can't pay my electric bill. People have, and I think that's why families are in trouble.
Wow.
They kind of priorities are all screwed up now with families. And when you look at it just from the adult perspective, how are their children going to know any better? Yeah.
They're not. And we're seeing the end products of this, just the kids that we meet here. Now, our kids that are coming through the adoption system and they're actually being adopted, if you have a parent that's going to go out of their way to take all the classes and go through all the formal stuff they have to go to adopt children, I'm seeing that these children they're coming here with manners. They may still be, I don't know how to say it, they may still have socialization issues, but they're coming with yes ma'am, no ma'am, may I please, and whereas the other kids, a lot of our other kids from the other part of the system, the treatment centers, the probation departments, they have no clue. I mean, the first thing we teach them is when we're talking to you, we want you to look at us. We don't want you walking away. You can't walk away in the middle of a conversation. That's the first rule. You would not believe how many we have to tell that to. You look at us, you make eye contact, and that's the way it is. You say please, you say thank you. You don't do anything unless you've asked first. And you know what? They respect that.
Yeah.
They respect that, and they like being here because of that. And I'm convinced that kids that don't get that are very disrespectful and very angry with their parents because they don't have any kind of, they have no borders.
So, no social training, no idea of, that old saying, treat your family like guests and your guests like family. It's kind of like they walk in and it's like being on the corner of a street, and just walking into a stranger. A lot of kids aren't being taught anything. And once they get into these facilities, unfortunately, they got a lot of kids to take care of. They're not going to have an etiquette class once a day when they are busy trying to figure out how they're going to get these kids out of the system. Let's talk about adoption and foster. The foster system. These are people back in the day. I'll go back in the day. A lot of people who took foster kids, they did it for the extra money. The kids didn't see the money, but that's all changed now. You have to account for the money. The money, if you're going to be a foster parent, you're supposed to be spending that money. That money is to help you take care of that child, right? How does the process of adoption work, or even foster right now work?
Well, right now, all the systems in every state are in such a disarray, I don't even know. I mean, it's a sad, sad thing compared to the 70s when I was in foster care. I mean, it is really a sad, sad situation. And it's a very, very broken system. And there is even worse now with all the cutbacks from Congress. A lot of those cutbacks came to the foster care system and the adoption agencies. The grants that were there for those kids to do different things, to learn different, it's gone. They are so low in grant money and the monies that were set aside for these systems. It's frightening. The case management loads, the caseloads have doubled, and obviously they're going to get worse because our economy is so bad. Who wants to try to raise kids? They can't even feed themselves, let alone their kids. So we're hearing and seeing so many things. As I travel within the different states, and and I've been from New York clear down to Kentucky to Illinois to Pennsylvania to Indiana, in the system, called on by the foster care system and the adoption agencies, and so I have heard a bunch of stuff. But this, and I have seen the different ways that they conduct their systems in the different states.
Right.
And there's one in particular I'll probably never go back to because it was just hair-raising. But it's a mess. It's a total mess.
Are there a lot more children in foster care? Because I'm going to tell you, I'm seeing a lot of parents who I really do think they should be tested before they're allowed to breed anymore. But they're all having these babies, and then they're not able to take care of them, and obviously the kids end up in the foster. Are there more children in the foster care compared to what there used to be?
I think so, but the problem is they're making it so hard for the foster parents to be foster parents that
Right.
I'm seeing more kids go to more back to what it appears to be happening, and what I'm seeing is they're looking a little harder and a little closer at reopening orphanages, and that's really scary.
You know what? I don't know if it is scary because maybe it'll stop people from mass producing children. Back in the old days, my parents were scared to death, and they'd say, "What do you want to do? Do you want to end up having well, they called it social services back then. They didn't call it DIFUS when I was a kid, but they'd say, yeah, you do that, and DIFUS will be down, social services will be down here, and you don't want that." That was like, no, you don't want to go to social services. We don't want to end up in a foster home. But now, maybe that's not a bad thing if people are held to a higher court now, and they say, look, you're going to have these kids, you're not going to take care of them, we'll take them off you, because a lot of people are just having them and collecting money off the welfare system, and that's breaking us too. So I think people have become very irresponsible in having children and caring for them.
That's always been a situation. I think a lot of people, I think it was a bad situation before, it's getting worse now, but I hate to say this, but I see us headed right back to the orphanage system and out of foster care because of the funding, all the money that's been cut, the rule, and the foster parents are really having a tough time because they're putting so many regulations. The ones that are foster parents now, first of all, now foster parents compared to before, they go through more screenings than you can even imagine. Right. These people desperately want to be foster parents. When you hear of a set of foster parents now, they have worked hard to get there. Mm-hmm. They have really worked hard. But now, as hard as they've made them work and as much as they've screened out the bad and kept in the good, they put so much regulations on. They're basically glorified babysitters. Mm-hmm. And you can't do this, you can't make them do that, you can't do this. It isn't, back in the 70s, Larry Ulrey, my dad, my great hero, he just said, look, I know how to raise kids, step back and let me do this job.
Right.
You can't get away with that today, and oh my gosh, make them do the dishes? Oh, no, you're not allowed to make them do the dishes.
Yeah, there's no such thing as making them do chores. No. And that just teaches them that now there's some kind of little princesses and kings that don't have to do anything. Then when they turn 18, they end up out in the street and they go, wait a minute, I'm supposed to wash my own clothes? I'm supposed to find a way to feed myself now? And it's a dangerous precedent that they have set, but it's happening with children that aren't in the foster system. So they're not prepared for any kind of life. So it's kind of scary there. We're going to go to break, and then I'm going to let you come back and tell everybody where they can find you. I still think the book is a great read. It's not a depressing book. It's full of hope, and it does open your eyes to the way a child looks at things, especially being put in foster care, because your book is, you're looking back as an adult, but you remember it as a child. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You still, you still remember it as a child, even though you're looking back now and saying, okay, he had to make me do this, or that this happened and this happened. But, part of a success story is when you're able to look back as an adult and say, okay, I made it through, and I think the book is a fabulous book. I think it's a well-written, and it's a wellspring of information. And really, if somebody has the ability to become a foster parent, I think it is a very noble thing. It's not going to be painless. Foster children are usually children that have had to be removed from a house for a reason. So they're already traumatized. You're going to get a child that's had a rough go of it, just like adopting an animal that has had a rough time of it, Mm-hmm. And it takes time, it takes patience, but it can be done if the right people do it. We're going to be right back. And the last song tonight in honor of Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday is Louis Armstrong and It's a Wonderful World. And I thought that would be a perfect song for our last break tonight. We'll be right back with Paula Kyle, author of On the Edge of Unthinkable.
Hey, little girl, what would you do for a Klondike bar? Game Con Radio, the station your mother warned you about.
You've got questions.
Who are we?
Where do we come from?
Are we alone in the universe?
Is there life after death?
Where can I take a class and really learn about demonology? Now, get the answers. For a decade, the American Institute of Metaphysics has offered the ultimate in courses designed to serve as the foundation in your search for life's questions. The courses cover a variety of subject areas and consist of wide-ranging alternative sciences, theories, and philosophies. Each course comes complete with textbooks, work materials, and instructions. The courses allow you the freedom to pursue your own areas of interest according to your schedule. Whether it's UFOs, life after death, demonology, cryptozoology, and more, you've got questions. We've got answers. Visit www.instituteofmetaphysics.com or call 877-623-3241 and start your search now.
Welcome back to Mo Banshee's Lair, Visionary Talk Radio on GameConRadio.com. And two of our songs tonight were in honor of the birthday of Martin Luther King Jr., who was a civil rights activist who was cut down in the prime of his life. He was only 39 when he was killed. And he insisted that the way to get civil rights was through peaceful protesting. And I hope that everybody just takes away, if nothing else, peaceful ways are always the best way. When you're going to resort to, the first man who raises his sword or a fist is the first one who ran out of ideas. So we need more peaceful people, and God bless his memory. Our guest tonight is Paula Kyle. She's the author of On the Edge of Unthinkable, and I was asking her, is there anything else you wanted to say? And the whole time during the beginning of the show, I was thinking, God, when are they going to make a movie out of this book? And you said they're looking at that, right?
It has already been screenwritten. And they've asked me if they can change the beginning, bring the main person in a lot earlier in the beginning, which I just wanted, my only wish when I signed a contract with a screenwriter was for them to keep the story just the way it was and not put any glamour from Hollywood in it and just keep it as real as it was. And after 2 years, I believe my screenwriter has done an excellent job. I can't really complain. We're going to be working back and forth on a quicker entrance of the main character, but it is so real with the book that I'm amazed. Now, once we sign with an actual production company, they will have the right to change some of it if they want, which I hope they don't. And our whole goal is to keep it as real as it possibly is. But yeah, I signed a contract. It was 2 years in October. So, these things do take time, and I understand some people said it took like up to 10 years. Mm-hmm. But I have great faith that as things progress, things will progress.
Yeah. On your site, and please tell everybody where they can contact you and how they can contact you.
Well, you can always contact through the website, www.edgeofunthinkable.com. It's there's a contact me, or if you get the book and you want to do a review, there's tons of reviews in there over the last almost 3 years from both the youth that I speak to, the administrative people that take care of some of these kids, to people who hear me speak, just on and on and on and on. I mean, I've lost track how many there are on there right now, but there's some really, really good reviews to read. But there is a contact me or write a review or a way on the website to contact me, and it'll email me right away, and I'll email you back if you want to contact me. I'm always open for speaking events, keynote events, and my travels are everywhere, but what I've been concentrating on more lately is making sure Paradise in the Sky lifts off the ground and runs smoothly. And I still take a trip here and there and go speak and go train, but I really want to get this youth and family facility off the ground. And it's going to take both my husband and myself. And, together, the two of us, I'm doing the marketing and he's looking for the grants and looking to help broaden everything. So we're working we're a very good team together. And I do believe that this is not only going to lift off the ground, but it's going to end up being a sort of franchise eventually, across the United States. So it's going pretty well.
That's good. And you also have a Facebook, facebook.com/Paula.Kyle.39. That's your Facebook. So people can contact you through that. There's a Facebook for you. I know that because I use it. But the site is edgeofunthinkable.com. It's got pictures. It's got a Adobe typey, pamphlet that you can look on for the Foster Family Retreat and Conference Center. The retreat center is 9881 Liberty Chapel Road, Mount Vernon, Ohio. The zip code is 43050. Her number there for anybody interested in renting it or getting information about renting it for a day, weekend, week, or month. The number can be found on her site on the pamphlet. It looks just wonderful, and I know how much work it is. It's a lot. We look at things that have been going for like 30, 40 years and think, wow, it's beautiful, but a lot of work goes into getting this kind of thing going and getting it to where it can sustain itself. And that's always the big problem, isn't it? Making sure it can sustain itself after you're gone, because I'm sure this is something a legacy that you want to carry on, right?
I do. I hope it does. I really believe it will. And, it's like I said, we're in the baby steps of it, but yet we're not. I mean, it's working. It's, we're getting feedback that it's being, it's making headway with some of the people that come here. A lot of them write back and are just amazed. So it's working.
So do we have to call you Paula Kyle Stevens now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. That's how they're going to put you in that movie, right?
I have no idea.
Do you think at the end of this movie, if it all goes, you think they'll have a picture of you and Rich, walking with the horses on the ranch and say, Paula Kyle Stevenson still lives in paradise, da-da-da-da. You think they'll have one of those endings for it? Hello?
Oh, time will only tell.
That would be cool. That would be very cool. After the whole thing is done, to show, where you are and show that you're still standing, which is the most important thing about any of this, is that you're still standing. I want to thank you so much for coming on. That's wonderful news about a movie thing going on. When you're big and famous, you're going to come back and talk to us about the coming up movie, right? When they take the gag order. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wonderful, wonderful. Anything else you want to say to us before you leave?
Probably that if your path ever crosses a youth that looks like they're just heading down the wrong path, reach out and somehow try to make that impression that they too can rise above and be successful in society.
Right.
It's just what we have. We cannot give up on these young people. It's just all there is to it.
Yeah, if their own families are not enough to get young people to stand up and have self-esteem, then it falls on society to try to do it, and you never know who you're coming across, so always treat people with love and respect. Thank you so much for coming on. You know the deal, the drill. I'll send you everything once it's up on the YouTube. You can copy it. You can use it anywhere you want. You know how it works.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and all you have to do, and congratulations to you and Rich. Mr. Rich, congratulations, and God bless you, and may you forever be happy.
Well, thank you. Someday I'll call from you and you come and visit us as well.
Maybe I will. Maybe I'll come out there sometime. Okay, love you. All you got to do is hang up.
Thank you very much, Mo. You have a great evening.
You too.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
That was great. I am so happy for Paula. A wonderful lady doing great things for children that usually fall through the cracks. Next week, I'm really jazzed up about this show, guys. David S. Skal is a biographer. He does commentary on horror movies. He writes books, biographies that are approved by families of Claude Rains, Universal Monster actors. He is, if it's about monsters, he knows about it. And I'm really happy that he's coming on. He's going to talk to us about all the Universal monsters, which I think anybody in this country who doesn't know about them, the thing with Universal monsters is you always felt sorry. There was always a humanity. In the beginning, when they did the Phantom of the Opera, the Invisible Man, the Frankenstein, when they transposed them from books and put them on the big screen, you felt sorry for the monsters. These were people or creatures that were put in terrible circumstances, and now you kind of had sympathy for them. And we're going to talk about all the actors and actresses who made them famous, with one of the best biographers I can think of, David S. Skal. So he's going to be on next week. And on the 29th, hopefully our show is going to be about the grandfather of the scary story, H.P. Lovecraft. He wrote some really bizarre stories that are the foundations for a lot of other movies that you see now, and a lot of ideas were born, by reading H.P. Lovecraft. So I know you guys are going to love that. And then, February 5th, we're going to have Kirby Robinson, who investigated a case that was on television, and his book now is Never Mock God, and he's going to be coming on and talking to us about the case that he investigated after Paranormal State had gotten there. He was called in, and then Wallace Collins, the Collinsport history is coming on, and Wallace is going to come in and talk about the Collinsport history, and that should be interesting. And then on the 19th, we're going to have a post show with Mark Redfield, so he's coming on. And then on the 26th, one of my favorite authors, Roy Doliner, is coming back, and he's going to have more secrets in Italian architect and the Sistine Chapels, more secrets that are shared there by the great artists and sculptors of the time. So we've got 2 great months loaded with great movies. I want to thank you all for listening in. I want to thank our guest, Paula Kyle. God bless you all, and good night.
Somewhere over the rainbow, birds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow, while can
Thank you for visiting me at my lair. Mo Banshee's Lair is broadcast live on Tuesday evenings at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Pacific, and in the UK, 3 a.m. Wednesday mornings on www.gameconradio.com. You can listen to our recent recordings on Podomatic/Mo Banshee. You can contact me at www.asylumsgate.com. Again, thank you for listening. God bless you and yours, and have a very cool day.